Excuse me.
Good afternoon and welcome to our MCAP statewide summit. My name is Dr. Alma Castro. I am the director of the Multilingual California Project Grant. We invite you to please use the chat box and let us know which district or area you're joining in from. As we get ready for today's session, we also want to invite you to please sign in. The link to the sign-in sheet should be available for you in the chat. And we have also placed the link with a participant folder where you will find the slides for today and additional resources. I would now like to welcome our CABE CEO, Jan Gustafson Correa, who will provide some welcoming words. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you so much, Alma. Muchas gracias. And hi, everybody. It is just so great to see you. Welcome. What an exciting day for us. This is actually the launch to welcome you back to our Multilingual California project. We're part of the Education Workforce Investment Grant from the California Department of Ed. And thank you. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for accepting and saying yes last year. Thank you for being part of this journey. Thank you for being with us today after a long day of teaching, a long day of managing and working and collaborating at our school sites, at our school districts, at our county offices. It is just an amazing feeling to be together via Zoom in the same Zoom room with all of you. And we just welcome you and thank you for all that you're doing. You know, as we get started to launch in today to year 2 of the Multilingual California grant, it just brings me back to where we were a year and a half ago when we applied for this grant. And we called on our great county office partners who you'll be meeting in a little while. We called on our universities. We called on our advisory group. And we said, would you be part of this project to advance a vision of multilingualism across California? Of course, building off of Prop 58, of course, looking at how do we build more and develop more of our bilingual, dual language, biliteracy programs, and then how do we deepen them? How do we make that access even more effective and more meaningful for our students, our parents, our families, and of course, as for us as educators who serve our families and students every day. And so that's what brings us here. We are here around a collective vision around multilingualism, around bilingualism, how we make that a possibility, whether it's through through an instructional program, and hopefully it is, because we know that's what research says that works the best. And if you're at the stage where you're still developing, that we're including multilingual, multicultural, embracing environments in our schools and communities to honor the backgrounds that our students represent. So again, it's just a great pleasure to be here with you today to share in this vision that's at the heart of CABE's work. And there's no one that I'm just more excited to invite today to give a greeting than our president of the CABE Board of Directors, who represents our whole board, our whole team, who you'll be meeting today. Gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Barbara Flores, the president of the CABE Board, to give you a greeting as well. Barbara?
Yes, thank you, Jan. On behalf of our CABE board and our CABE team, I just want to welcome you all to to your 2-year MCAP statewide multilingual network. Besides CABE, we have San Diego State University, Wexford Incorporated, 5 counties, Butte, Fresno. I'm from Madera County, so Fresno's nearby. Orange, San Bernardino, that's where I live. And San Diego, also in San Diego. We also have a home in a condo in San Diego, so I'm all connected with all of you. And so it's just amazing. And to know that there's 26 districts, oh my God, it's phenomenal that we have such a collaborative network that will make and is making the deep threads, and connections and among all the stakeholders, our county offices, our school districts, our teachers, our schools, our paraprofessionals, our parents. And, you're making it real. You're making it and showing that it's possible for us to, develop teaching, learning for our kids to implement innovations through our professional development and to implement the English roadmap. And I don't know of any collaborative network in the United States that has done this. So I think we're making history, and we're showing everyone how it can be done. And that's phenomenal. I retired after 40 years as a teacher educator. I'm currently a school board member in San Bernardino City Unified. So my passion are our kids, our families, our teachers, our administrators. Education makes a difference. And we are the ones that will be the true, leaders for all our kids. So I support you. And I just love that we're working together. And I remember Jan wanting to write this grant. Go for it. And so it's just phenomenal. And Alma, Dr. Alma Castro, you're the bomb, okay? And so I just love her. And everybody, all of you, our leaders, at San Diego State, Dr. Cristina Alfaro and Dr. Margarita Machado Casas. I mean, we're just, all of us together, we'll just show the world, okay, that we can do it, and it's all for our kids. So, adelante a todos. Gracias.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Barbara, for your warm greeting to our partners across the state in this collaborative work. At CABE, we have a wonderful MCAP team, and with a strong leadership vision for equity and access for a multilingual California. From our CABE CEO, Jan, who just provided a warm welcome, to our board president, Barbara. We also have Ruby Flores, who's our director of professional development. We have Anya Bobadilla, our professional learning specialist, Doctora Erika Garcia, our professional learning specialist, Alexandria Ramos, administrative assistant, and we are very grateful for the advocacy and lobbying from our friend and partner in this work, Marta Zaragoza Diaz. As we move into our next part of the agenda, I'd like to welcome Jan to take us through with our today's outcomes.
Thanks so much, Alma. I will reiterate this. Our CABE team is just amazing. I want to thank each and every one of you for the passion and commitment you bring to this work as well. So what's going to happen today? What are we hoping we end today with? So we develop our outcomes through experiential outcomes and rational or strategic outcomes. There's some things that we hope that you will feel, you'll experience after today. And then there's some more concrete things that you'll be getting out of today as well, as you kind of grapple with, well, what is this year two, and how's it going to fit, and how's it going to work, and how's it going to support me in what I'm doing in my school site, in my district, in my county, in my community. So the experiential outcomes, what we hope we come out of today feeling, is just that momentum, the continued momentum of a vision of a multilingual California. We hear it from our state superintendent, to our county soups, to our leaders, to our teachers, our parents, our families, our students. Multilingualism is our goal. And so we want to feel that vision. And we hope today too, that as we go through the afternoon, that you'll be engaged in the second year of our statewide network for MCAP and build knowledge among our leaders from the county offices, from your school districts, from the University at San Diego State, CABE, and the whole alliance. We want you to feel like you are part of a community, and know that you're embraced, that you're connected, that you're supported. So those are our two experiential outcomes for today. Our rational outcomes are more the nitty gritty, right? Getting down to it. We are going to be revisiting the grant, the project grant, and the liberatory design framework designed to help you implement the EL roadmap. So we know that our grant was focused around the EL roadmap with a vision of multilingualism. So we're going to revisit that and ground ourselves more in that again today. We want to build value on our year two, stage 2+ statewide collaborative partnership and go deeper in our learning on the implementation of the MCAP innovations. Those are those really stellar professional development learning innovations that you got to dabble in last year. You're going to get an opportunity to go deeper and learn more about that today as well. We want today to identify concrete next steps in our partnership towards implementing systemic practices in support of English learners and multilingual programs. What does it mean to be partners? How are we going to make that happen? How are we going to connect from a district all the way up in beautiful Butte County to down in Orange County, or from San Diego over to Fresno County, and in between with San Bernardino? How are we going to build that partnership, and how are we going to connect with each other in that way? We also want to make available additional professional learning resources so that you'll see really what's available through this great a network of colleagues working together to build a multilingual California. So hopefully as we go through today, you'll see these different outcomes touched upon, and you'll feel that we've reached them by the end as well. So to take us through that, we have just an amazing agenda. We go on to our next slide. Of course, we've done our welcoming. I cannot tell you, to let you know how excited I am to have our featured speaker. We'll introduce him in a little bit, but Dr. Jim Cummins is just a stellar researcher, advocate, friend, educator, and he'll be joining us shortly to lead us in some thinking and reflecting together. And then after we get to hear from Jim and from other members of our team, different leaders from our county offices, you'll get to hear from Ted Alejandre, a few other folks in just a little bit. Then we're going to get into it. We're going to take a look at the Multilingual California MCAP purpose, our goals, our timeline for year two. What is that going to look like for us all? We're going to get deeper into liberatory design and really feel refreshed and reconnected to the sense of how we work together towards equity. We're going to be looking at those things that you got to kind of know, the roles, the logistics. And then you're going to get this great opportunity to see what's available for you as districts that are part of this part of the grant, this deeper dive into these innovations, professional development at its highest level from the experts in the field. You're going to be learning a lot more about that today. And then again, other resources that are available for others in your district that maybe aren't as closely tied to this work right now, or through other, through other networks throughout the state as well. And then of course, we'll bring us to our closing and our última palabra. So we have a great hour, 45 minutes left today. We're going to just have a great time together. And there's a great thing about MCAP as you look at all the networking. We've done a really neat thing, I think, and when we wrote the grant, is that we reached out to our experts in the field to say, would you come and support us? And so Alma's going to introduce you now to who's on our MCAP Advisory Council. Alma?
Thank you, Jan. Thank you so much for grounding us for our exciting afternoon together. Our MCAP Advisory Council has just been very key and loving in supporting and guiding us in this project, this MCAP 3-year grant project. We are now launching what is year 2. Through this work together, we're supported by experts, researchers, theorists, and scholars who support the multilingual education vision. And again, we appreciate their guidance. We have the support of and guidance from Dr. Pedro Noguera, Dr. Patricia Gándara, who has, many of you were probably in our previous summit, but she provided some inspirational words. We are very happy to welcome in just a few minutes our speaker for today, Dr. Jim Cummins. Dr. Lily Wong Fillmore will be speaking to our stage 3 districts and LEAs next week. Doctora Kathy Escamilla, also welcome during our summit of last year, welcome all of our counties and our 26 participating districts. We're also fortunate to be guided by the work of Dr. Virginia Collier, as well as Dr. Wayne Thomas and Dr. Alberto Ochoa. So as part of this MCAP partnership, you will have access to the statewide network of biliteracy experts. You'll also have professional learning opportunities where we invite our experts to come in and provide some guidance and key messages. You'll also be able to access our key resources through our website and receive coaching and professional learning via various opportunities that you'll be learning about this afternoon. So we want to also, I know we've shared on our next slide, we also want to welcome again our MCAP partners. And our MCAP partners are, it's a strong alliance and a force of passionate leaders committed to implementing the English Learner Roadmap policy. CABE is the lead partner for the project, following with the strong official partners that we have in Butte, in Fresno, San Bernardino, Orange, and San Diego County Offices of Education. We are also partnered through this MCAP 3-year grant with San Diego State University, and our evaluators for this grant are our partners at Wexford. Together, this strong alliance is committed during the next 2 years of this grant period to meet our grant goals in building the capacity for implementing the English Learner Roadmap policy across California and working towards multilingual California. We know from the work of our scholars and from the work that we have conducted at our school sites as well, that there is a robust body of research that supports multilingualism to preparing students for academic excellence and to participate fully in a global context. Now, guiding the implementation of the California English Learner Roadmap policy and the 4 principles that you can see highlighted on this slide, the MCAP project will continue to deliver a powerful statewide model of professional learning to strengthen the capacity of our districts, our partner districts across our 5 county offices of education, and accelerate the academic and multilingual opportunities and outcomes for multilingual learners in California. As we move into our next slide, the MCAP grant was built around the 4 interlocking stages, as you can see illustrated here. Each stage in our grant is aligned to the 4 EL roadmap policy principles that were illustrated on the previous slide. In stage 1, we built awareness statewide, and we continue through these next 2 years, continue to provide resources, professional learning through stage 1 to continue to expand this awareness stage. Now, this past year, we also participated in stage 2, and that was the initial implementation, where you got a taste and you got an opportunity to explore the multiple professional learning opportunities through our innovations, also through our webinars, and through the work that our MCAP leads were doing directly with our LEAs. Here is where you can see the tremendous need and powerful impact of the robust work in this project, and providing, again, statewide resources, especially as we entered into this grant during the pandemic, and we pivoted very quickly for providing online resources, and we continue to listen to the needs of our 5 county offices and to pivot in the need of providing virtual. And we hope to soon be safe and have in-person professional learning opportunities. We are now in stage 3, where we will be continuing to deepen our work and our systemic implementation. And also a key driving force of our work is building leadership via our framework, liberatory design. And you'll learn a little bit more. You'll go deeper in your learning about liberatory design by our colleague at San Diego County, Olympia, who will be guiding us through this work today. We know that leadership is essential in driving creativity and ways to make this work systemic, even during the most challenging times. And so as we move into our next slide, I'd like to just highlight our MCAP goals and just briefly continue just an overview. Our goals are really focused on building the capacity among school leaders at all levels at our schools to implement the English Learner Roadmap policy, to continue to support the implementation of instructional practices and supporting all of our educators to effectively develop academic content knowledge and language, as well as multilingual and multiliterate proficiency in our students. Our goal number 3 for our grant is to create a multilingual collaborative statewide network of experts to guide systems. You've met some of our experts, and we all here in this Zoom setting are also experts and passionate advocates of this work. For our goal number 4, we will continue to identify and emphasize high quality models of professional development. And especially as we go deeper into our work with our innovations, you'll be exploring the fullness of an innovation through this year-long experience. And you'll also be developing proficiency and expertise in some of the work through the innovations. And we'll continue to support the implementation, the alignment, the articulation of the EL Roadmap policy across and within our school systems. And Jan, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Alma. Boy, with that backing, it just gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today one of those leaders, one of those voices in our community that fully stands behind those goals, that makes it happen through his leadership, through the work in the schools, districts, and communities in San Bernardino County and in his own life. It's like leaders like Superintendent Ted Alejandre and our other 4 county superintendents and leadership from San Diego State University and our advisory council that really compels us to say, this isn't just something that happens haphazardly. This is something systemic and something that makes a difference, and not just in one county, but really counties throughout the whole state. So you have met Superintendent Alejandre in the past. We are so pleased to welcome you today, Superintendent Alejandre. Thank you for being with us and sharing a greeting with our group today as well. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jan, and thank you to GABE and all you do. I mean, the passion that resides in GABE and supporting multilingualism across the state of California and beyond is just incredible. And I heard Dr. Flores earlier, such a passionate individual has joined the team to be part of this team in implementing the best practices for students across our state and supporting their individual goals. But it's just an honor for us here in San Bernardino County to be partners with amazing county superintendents and other organizations in really supporting and leading this work. And this MCAP statewide summit today is just so important to move this work forward. My appreciation for the entire MCAP team for, again, leading this work and supporting all of the multilingual learners we have throughout the state. In our county, we have 7 districts that are participating, and 5 of those districts are in stage 2 or plus of this effort. And so it's just wonderful to see that participation in our county and certainly across the rest of the state. But this summit really offers an opportunity to deepen our own learning as we continue year 2 of the partnership with MCAP, to implement the EL Roadmap policy to support our multilingual learners. All of you know how incredibly important this work is, and you know that our students have different approaches to learning. They need different resources and support, but what really makes that happen is the passion that we have to support each and every learner that we have in our classrooms and schools. And so this team and all of the people you work with are certainly moving forward and providing that incredible effort. And so your engagement in this summit really aligns with our goal here in San Bernardino County, and that's to transform lives through education. So thank you so very much. I know this is a wonderful summit. You have an incredible speaker here today, and I just know it's going to go well for everyone. Thank you so much, Jan.
Oh, thank you so much, Ted. Your superintendency, your leadership, your passion just exudes today, but in all that you do. And thank you so much for having that vision of biliteracy, multilingualism, multiculturalism, and all that we do. So thank you so very much. Greatly appreciate that. Well, as Superintendent Alejandro said, we have just an amazing guest to introduce to you today. Dr. Jim Cummins is someone that is not new to us in our work. Many of us have studied his research for many years. Going back and talking with Jim and others, we know his research dates back to the mid to late 70s and really shaped what we really began to create as effective bilingual programs. And now 45 plus years later, that research really is at the core of the work that we do. And Dr. Jim Cummins is really at the center of that and continuing his own research, his own practice, and then encouraging and building a new research core as well to continue this great work as we continue to move forward. You know, we've known the work of negotiating identities. You'll see some other publications on here. Recent in the author list by Dr. Cummins are Transforming Sanchez School, a really wonderful description of working with the school in San Francisco Unified and what it takes to create leadership, systemic leadership that's connected to the school and the community to make success happen. And literally hot off the press, rethinking the education of multilingual learners and helping us stretch our thinking of what we've known, what we put into practice, and how we continue growing that. Jim, you are one of the researcher educators that just connect with us at so many different levels. We value you being with us today, all the way from Ontario, Canada. Your work and research has not just impacted us in California or in the US, but really throughout the world. And I will quote your dear friend and our great colleague and leader, Dr. Lee Wong Fillmore, who told me the other day that she really feels that you are the premier researcher that has really impacted multilingual education throughout the world in our international sectors as well. So with that big lift up and elevation from Dr. Lee Wong Fillmore and just a big embrace from all of us, we just would like to welcome you from California to our Multilingual California initiative. Dr. Cummins?
Great. Thanks, Jan, for that really warm introduction. I appreciate it a lot. And I also appreciate the opportunity to participate in the Multilingual California project and also to share a few thoughts with educators from across the state. As Jan mentioned, my association with CABE goes back more than 40 years. And so I see myself as a grizzled veteran of the struggles to get bilingual education and dual language programs established in the state and then reestablished after Proposition 227 changed the rules of the game in the late 1990s. Obviously, in many respects, we're in a much more positive period at this point in recognizing the linguistic resources that children bring to school and enabling them to make full use of those resources in their learning. And a lot of that change comes right back to CABE and the work that you've done tirelessly for as long as I've been connected to the organization. I've got a huge amount of admiration for everything that CABE stands for and has done. I'd also like to acknowledge the incredible resilience and dedication of teachers and administrators across the state over the past 18 months. My daughter's a teacher in a French-English bilingual program in the Toronto area, and I know how tough it was for her to be shifted to teaching online in her first year of teaching, and then for the entire year in her second year of teaching. So I have a huge amount of respect for the way educators across the state have risen to the challenge and how they're coping and helping their students cope with challenging times. And so again, it's a privilege and an honor to have the chance to spend a little bit of time with you. The message that I want to share in this very brief presentation is simple. And it focuses on the systems that we set up in our schools to address the learning needs of multilingual students. And we start by asking two obvious questions. And it's kind of surprising because these questions haven't been really asked in this way up to now. And the two questions that we ask are, who are the students who are experiencing academic difficulties in our schools? Now, obviously, we all are aware that many students who are learning English as an additional language in the past and currently experience difficulties in our schools. But they aren't the only group. If we exclude students who are from or who are experiencing special needs, then there are two other categories of students that fall into the situation of struggling very often in our schools. And one of those categories are students from low-income backgrounds, students from low socioeconomic or socially disadvantaged backgrounds whose families are experiencing the effects of poverty. And we know from studies all over the world that students who are growing up in poverty, who don't have the privileges of their more affluent peers, often struggle academically. And this is a systematic pattern that characterizes virtually every education system around the world. In addition to linguistically diverse students and students who are experiencing academic or who are experiencing the effects of poverty, we also have students who have experienced and are experiencing the effects of racism and various kinds of discrimination in our society. And as we know, this goes back centuries, it goes back generations, and it's still with us, unfortunately. And those patterns, those stereotypes in the wider society often lead to lower teacher expectations that get communicated to students. And so one question that we've got to ask is, who are the category? What are the categories of students that experience difficulty? And the students who are experiencing the most difficulty are students who fall into all three of those categories. And that's a majority of students who are learning English as an additional language. So in addition to looking at what the research is saying about helping students acquire English and catch up academically in English, we also have to ask ourselves as a school community, how can we push back on some of the effects of low income, low socioeconomic status? And we have to ask ourselves, how can we as a school community counteract some of the effects of stereotypes and discrimination in the wider society that have major impacts on the kinds of identity negotiations that go on in school? Because what we see happening is a pattern of devaluation of identity, devaluation of community identity, and that translates into devaluation of the identities of students in schools. And teachers may not even be aware that this is happening. And so if we identify those three groups of students, we ask what instructional strategies have proven effective in addressing or pushing back what researchers have called opportunity gaps. And so if we look at the, there's, I think, a diagram that I've shared with Cabby. It's also in a couple of the publications that are, a couple of the articles that are in the Google folder that I think has been set up. But if we look at what we can do to counteract those three patterns of opportunity gaps that lead to underachievement, there are very clearly defined things that schools can do that are supported by the research evidence. First of all teachers need to know how to scaffold students' understanding of language and their production of language. Scaffolding is a metaphor that, as you know, has been used to talk about the kinds of support that we need to provide for students. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, this is true of Canada, it's true of many parts of Europe, it's true of many parts of the United States. The mindset in schools has been that, well, the ESL teacher will take care of these children's problem. And the ESL teacher will help them acquire English. And then when they've acquired English, then they can do the normal things that other students are doing. That orientation is really problematic because we know that typically it takes at least 5 years, sometimes much longer, for students to catch up academically. And they may get ESL support for a year, 2 years, sometimes maybe longer. But often it's assumed that students have acquired English when they've acquired a certain degree of fluency in the language. But there are still major gaps between them and their peers in terms of academic language. And so all teachers in the school need to be on board with and need to be prepared in both senses of the term to provide scaffolding instruction. They also need to recognize that there are particular challenges in acquiring the language of schooling, in acquiring academic language. And this means we have to reinforce academic language right across the curriculum. Again, it's not just the job of the language arts teacher or the ESL teacher. Every teacher, when they're teaching science, when they're teaching mathematics, should be on the lookout for opportunities to reinforce children's language as they're learning content areas. And thirdly, in terms of what we can do to directly address the challenges for students in learning English and catching up academically, we need to mobilize, we need to acknowledge that the languages, the language knowledge, the concepts that children bring to school in their first language are resources. And there's all kinds of ways that have been demonstrated over the last 20 years that even in the English monolingual classroom, we can tap into the knowledge that students have in their first languages and bring that to bear in the classroom. If we move to looking at what teachers can do individually and collectively to push back on some of the effects of lower socioeconomic status and the effects of poverty, there's not a lot we can do about things like overcrowding in housing or segregated housing that leads to segregated schooling. But one thing that we can do that's incredibly powerful is address the fact that many students from lower income backgrounds have not had the same exposure to print, the same exposure to literacy in their homes and neighborhoods, and sometimes even in their schools, as is the case with children from more affluent backgrounds. This has been documented by work that Nell Duke and others have done more than 20 years ago. And one research finding that I think has been very much neglected in the United States and elsewhere is that there is a huge and consistent relationship between the extent to which children get access to print and engage actively with literacy and how well they learn how to read and write. And so this means that in terms of pushing back directly on the effects of poverty and low-income backgrounds, one of the things we have to focus on as a school community is getting students actively engaged with literacy from the day they walk into the classroom. We know from research that the extent to which students get actively engaged with literacy is a stronger predictor of how well they learn to read than is their socioeconomic status. In fact, the international research suggests that we could push back about 1/3 of the negative effects of low-income backgrounds if we could get students actively engaged with literacy. And unfortunately, reading research has got caught up and reading instruction has got caught up with the whole issue of phonics versus more whole language. These are kind of irrelevant issues. We know we need to get kids competent in decoding, but we also need to build up that affective bond between them and books and them and reading. And this means that we know there's lots of things that schools can do to get students actively engaged with reading. If we move to the third column, students from marginalized status backgrounds, the kinds of things that we need to do to challenge the devaluation of identity in our schools are things like connecting instruction to students' lives, validating their prior experience, allowing them to bring what researchers have called the funds of knowledge from their communities into the classroom. We need to recognize the fact that a lot of the students who have experienced racism have had the status of what some people have called internal colonies within our societies and schools. And we need to focus on decolonizing curriculum and instruction through linguistically and culturally sustaining pedagogy. Those are terms that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. Sometimes it's called culturally responsive pedagogy or a culturally relevant pedagogy. We need to valorize and build on the linguistic varieties that students bring to school. One of the experiences that many students have had when they come to school, even in a bilingual or dual language program, is that the variety of Spanish, for example, that they may be bringing from their home communities is different from the standard Spanish that is represented in textbooks and maybe their teachers speak. We need to build on the knowledge of language that students bring to school in both their languages, rather than implicitly or inadvertently put down those varieties of the language. And so all of this adds up to affirming student identities in association with academic engagement. We need to enable our students to do powerful things with language. And so just to sum up what I've been saying here, when we talk about, when we look at all of the systems that we have in our schools, like for example, the systems that we have, the funding that we get for supporting English learners. We may get funding for supporting students who are experiencing the effects of poverty. We need to put these together because the students who are having the most challenges in our schools are students who fall into all three categories. So it's not enough just to focus on providing language support. We also need to push back against the effects of low-income backgrounds. For example, parents who are struggling to put food on the table generally don't have money to buy books for their kids. They don't have money to take them to museums and other cultural activities. And we also need to recognize that there are subtle stereotypes operating in our society, sometimes not so subtle, that affect the way students see themselves and the academic self-concept that they get. We need to push back on all three of these fronts. And fortunately, the research highlights a number of strategies that we can talk about in our schools, that we can plan for, and so that all teachers get on the same page in terms of knowing where we're going, what our philosophy is, who we are as educators collectively in our school. What are we trying to do? And we're working not just to help students learn English, we're working to help students overcome the effects of poverty and the effects of racism and other forms of discrimination. So I'll stop there and wish you well in your discussions with Cabin and other educators involved in the MCAP project. And I look forward to continuing to be in touch with you as the project goes on. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cummins. Thank you for your powerful message on lifting the linguistic assets of our students, of our communities, of affirming and validating student and family identities. We would like to invite you as participants to please visit your participant folder where you can access resources from Dr. Cummins, including 2 recent articles. And once again, Dr. Cummins, thank you for being our MCAP advisor and for all of your scholarly contributions to the literature that help us learn and deepen our understanding of instructional strategies of love and support and passion for this work. Muchísimas gracias. And before we move on to the next phase, it's really important that we capture some of these amazing moments. I know our team has done a stop share on our Zoom. We'd love to invite you to a quick photo. If you're interested in coming out in our quick photo, please open your cameras and smile. I know a couple of our colleagues will be exiting, so we'll like to take a quick pause. Once again, Dr. Cummins, muchísimas gracias for your kind words and for encouraging all of our educators to continue in this passion.
Thanks, Al.
Okay. So thank you, team, for helping support with taking some of the photos.
As we're taking photos, I'd just love to mention that Dr. Cummins will be with us at CABE 2022 next March in San Francisco. So start thinking about that and look for his book. Jim, can you share where we can access your latest publication? I think you might be on mute.
It's published by a publisher called Multilingual Matters. If you just put the title of the book into a Google search, I think Google will take you directly to Google Books, and I think the electronic copy can be ordered there, or you can just put in Multilingual Matters publisher, and that'll take you to the website.
Jim, I ordered my copy. How are you? It's Barbara.
Oh, hi, Barbara.
I ordered my copy from Amazon, and I'm still waiting.
Okay.
So,
well, it just, I don't even have a copy yet because I haven't been home. I'm up at a cottage, but I know from colleagues that they have got their copies. So
okay, great. So
it's
they
on
say
its way.
it's on its way. It's on its way. Yeah. We can hardly wait to read it.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cummins, and also thank you, MCAP team, for supporting with that group photo. As we've had an exciting afternoon, and we have much more ahead. I'd like to now introduce our MCAP leads, who will welcome and introduce their county office teams. So I'd like to introduce our MCAP lead from Butte County Offices of Education, Holly Harding. Welcome, Holly.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Castro, and to all of the CABE staff here with us today who made this event possible. On behalf of our Butte County Superintendent, Mary Sakuma, and our very visionary director, Guillermo Castillo, and our entire instructional team, as well as the districts in Region 2 up here in Northern California, we want to welcome you all to year 2 of our fabulous MCAP grant. Our participating districts for year 2 in Region 2 include Chico Unified, led by Tina Keene. Also Hamilton Unified under the leadership of Maggie Sawyer, if Maggie's here, and Palermo Union Elementary, with Kimberly Solano as the district lead there at the middle school. So we look forward to a great year, continuing the work that we started last year. And thank you again to CABE for including us and supporting us each year with this grant.
Thank you, Holly, and welcome colleagues and friends from Butte. I'd like now to introduce our MCAP lead at Fresno, Lisa Clark. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Castro. My name is Lisa Clark from the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools office. And I was just kind of perusing the participant list and was seeing several familiar faces. And I'm very excited to be working with our Stage 2+ and Stage 3 districts for this next part of the grant. So I would like to welcome on behalf of our superintendent, Jimmy Ovino, our districts to today's convening. We have Golden Plains Unified, Layton Unified School District, Mendota Unified School District, Orange Center Unified School District, and then next week for Stage 3, Sanger Unified will be joining us. So welcome, everyone. We look forward to the innovations this year and the great things that are going to be happening with our grant.
Thank you, Lisa. And again, welcome, Fresno. And next, I'd like to introduce our colleagues at Orange County and our MCAP lead, Dr. Nicole Chavez.
Hi, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here today. Welcome, MCAP colleagues and advocates. As referenced, my name is Dr. Nicole Chavez, and on behalf of our remarkable Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Almijares, welcome to year 2 of this amazing work. I also want to give a particular shout out to our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Academic Enrichment, Dr. Jonathan Swanson. Thanks for joining us today. And I want to have our virtual hands up, make some noise for our remarkable districts, Anaheim Union High School, as well as Anaheim Elementary School District, who will be joining us in year 2's work, led by the wonderful Christopher Downing, as well as the remarkable Michael Matsuda. Off to Angelica.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, and welcome, Orange County. And now our MCAP lead, Angelica Hurtado, from our San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you so much, Dr. Castro, and I'm so honored to be here. First of all, on behalf of our County Superintendent, Ted Alejandre, who you just met earlier when he did the welcoming address, we want to thank our districts. We want to give a big shout out to our 7 districts that are participating in the MCAP grant. Today we have Barstow, we have Colton, we have Fontana, we have Redlands and Rialto. And next week, we're gonna have San Bernardino and Hesperia join us as well. I also wanna thank my superintendent, Ted Alejandre, who endlessly, he's always supporting our English learner students and our multilingual programs. Any projects we do, he's always there to support. So thank you, Mr. Alejandre. And welcome, districts. We honor you.
Thank you, Angelica. And again, friends from San Bernardino, welcome. And now I'd like to introduce our MCAP lead from San Diego County Offices of Education, Isela Jacobo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, MCAP partners. What a privilege it is to be here with so many wonderful practitioners and advocates of multilingualism. On behalf of Dr. Goffel and the rest of SDCOE, I'd like to thank each and every one of our 9 LEAs for their active participation in the MCAP grant. As we continue to refine our practice, services, and structures to celebrate the many assets that our English learner students and families bring to the table and address their needs as well. So before I invite our San Diego LEAs to make some noise, and let's make some noise, San Diego, I'd like to acknowledge our Executive Director, Dr. Olympia Kyriakides, since she's in the room. And I also want to give a shout out to my fantastic colleague, Jorge Cuevas Antillon, who I notice is in the room as well. With that said, these are the wonderful LEAs from the San Diego County that are participating in MCAP. So I'll start with Chula Vista Elementary School District, led by Lani Perez and Nancy Rojas. If you're in the room, unmute and make some noise, colleagues.
Yay! Chula Vista's here. We're so excited to be part of this. Hello, Isela. Good afternoon, everyone.
We have Fallbrook Union Elementary School District, led by Dr. Leah Curcio and Dr. Alejandro Gonzalez. Fallbrook, are you in the house?
Yeah, Fallbrook.
Yes, we are.
We have Jamul Dulzura Union School District, led by Superintendent Liz Bystedt.
Yay, Jamul!
Yay, Liz!
Yay, Jamul! We're here.
Lemon Grove School District, led by Mariana Vincent. National School District. Hi, Mariana. We have National School District led by Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Charmila Kraft, and I know we have our wonderful Principal Luz Vicario in the room as well.
Woohoo! Hola, Isela.
Hola, Isela.
Hi, Angela. We have South Bay Unified School District led by Lisa Celaya.
Woohoo!
Vallecitos Elementary School District led by Superintendent, Dr. Marisa Copen. And I know that
Vallecitos.
Yay, Vallecitos.
And last but not least, Vista Unified School District led by our wonderful Rafa Olavide. Hi, Rafa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us.
And I'm handing it back to you, Alma. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very, very exciting, San Diego. Welcome. And thank you, Isela. Altogether this year for year 2 of our grant, we have 28 districts in our 5 county offices of education, really engaging in this impactful work to support multilingual learners. As we transition to our next section for today, I'd also like to acknowledge, in just perusing through our attendees, I do believe our friend and colleague from the CDE, Sandra Covarrubias, is here with us. So welcome, Sandra. You can wave. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Sandra, would you like to say a few welcome words?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was having trouble with the unmute button, everyone. Sorry, I apologize for that. Unfortunately, my video camera, I'm waiting for a new one. Otherwise, I would have that on. But it's really nice to see all you guys, and it's really energizing. And I really appreciate a chance to hear from Dr. Cummins all the time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you, CDE, for supporting our grant through this EWIG grant and this 3-year project. And so in addition to the work that we're doing across the state with supporting in professional learning for our 28 districts, our grant is also partnered with San Diego State University. And I'd like to share, we have here with us Doctora Cristina Alfaro, who will be speaking to us about the University Global Seal of Biliteracy. Doctora Margarita Machado Casas is leading another project at SDSU partnered with MCAP, and that's the Bilingual Teacher Preparation IHE Network. So I'd like to now welcome Doctora Cristina Alfaro to speak to us about the University Global Seal of Biliteracy.
Yes, good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to follow the San Diego County Office of Education because they are the best partners ever. And I think San Diego State, our teacher credential program wouldn't be what it is without the support that we receive from San Diego County. So, just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Yes, I know many of you, I also saw so many of the people that you were introducing, Isela, are graduates of San Diego State. So it's great to see that they're doing all this work. Many of you know that I 30 years of my life has been spent in bilingual teacher preparation. Currently, right now with the MCAP grant, we've had an opportunity to grow biliteracy and bilingualism beyond the teacher credential program. And that's what the University Global Seal of Biliteracy is. So as a matter of fact, we just submitted an article for the multilingual educator that Alma and I and another colleague wrote about the first year of this biliteracy, the Seal of Biliteracy. So what is it? Basically, it was born from looking at when students graduate from high school, where do they go? How do they continue to lengthen their language learning? So this is what the Global Seal of Biliteracy is doing. However, it's not just about language. It's also, it's looking more at linguistically and culturally multi-competent university graduates. So we have a component that also has a cultural immersion, a linguistic cultural immersion to it. So that's why we call it the University Global Seal of Biliteracy. So last year we offered it to students that were graduating, that they were in their final year. This year we are moving towards adding the University Global Seal of Biliteracy to our doctoral program. We have a cohort of doctoral students right now that are working towards receiving this. So this will be the first ever that we are able to do. So in doing this, we're looking at not just the implementation, but also the research behind it, because the whole idea is that we will soon, by the time the GABE conference comes around, we will have a manual that will describe step-by-step how we have gone, the process that we've engaged at San Diego State University to institute it so that it's systematic. And the big thing right now that we're doing is trying to work towards having, because right now it's a badge that they receive, but that it will be on their diploma and their transcript. So that's the big push right now at San Diego State. And then of course, to share this with others if other universities are interested in doing this. But again, I think that the key thing here is that we continue to work with school districts so that there's a seamless process when they graduate from high school, that they get credit for the seal and that they're able to move on with their continued language development. So just a lot of exciting things going on with this particular program. Thank you. And Alma, I don't know, is Dr. Margarita Casada, is she here or?
I'll go ahead and share, Dr. Alfaro. Okay. Congratulations on the implementation of your University Global Seal of Biliteracy together through this project. I know that you recognize 14 students and we're looking at continuing this work. And we look forward to having you join us at GABE 2022, where we'll have additional information, that manual, that guide. And we're just really very excited to lengthen the language lines as we think about the California State Seal of Biliteracy and validating the multilinguistic and cultural assets, as was brought out to us again by Dr. Jim Cummins today, of our students. So again, Dr. Alfaro, thank you. I'll go ahead and introduce the next project at SDSU. Doctora Margarita Machado Casas is leading the bilingual teacher pathway collaborative network. And in this work, it's partnering with IHEs in our county office regions, partnering with them to create, to support in strengthening and developing bilingual teacher preparation programs. And the focus is really to support in our schools, in our districts, with that recruitment, with that retention of our teachers. Through the conversations I'll be sharing in just a few minutes, but the project aims at focusing their model of teacher preparation in the development of modules and identifying through gathering information from our IHEs, identifying those bright spots and those challenges, and just uncovering some systems of support building the support network, and building a statewide partnership with IHEs. So you'll learn a little bit more in the upcoming slides. So we are very grateful through this MCAP project that we will continue this collaboration with SCSU for this next 2 years of our grant. Thank you. And as we move into our next section, I think that's a really nice leeway to our next section for today. We would like to highlight the great MCAP work that has been accomplished during year 1 of our partnership. And a lot of this, you may see some of your counties, districts, and even some of your faces in the upcoming slides as we recognize and highlight our work through our MCAP year 1. During year 1, we partner with 26 LEAs from the 5 counties. We also held our statewide Leader Summit, Teacher Summit, and Superintendent Summits. We continue to have our monthly MCAP Alliance meetings, where I'm very fortunate to come together with my colegas from the 5 county offices and continue to explore professional development, professional learning opportunities, and meet the needs of each of your county offices and districts. We have also conducted webinars for teachers and for para-educators, and those you can access through our website, and we'll drop the link in our chat box in just a moment. Our parent summits have been very moving and inspirational. We've also seen the need to provide support documents as Dr. Cummins talked to us a little bit about the importance of acting and making decisions through our funding. So in some of the support documents that our grant provided this past year was through LCFF or LCAP and Learning Continuity Plan. We continue to grow in our language centers. We've shared the implementation of the University Global Seal of Biliteracy. And again, if you access our website, you'll be able to reach the resources that we have archived of webinars, professional learning opportunities that you can continue to share through at your schools. We have also been active on our social media outreach, and our colleagues are going to add some of our social media handles on our chat box if you too are active on social media. So as we move into our celebration, we'd just like to share that in the fall of 2020, we invited county superintendents and state leadership for the Superintendent Forum, where we celebrate our partnership in this work. We had a very warm opening message from our state superintendent of instruction, Tony Thurman. We engaged in dialogue about the role of leadership and our MCAP goals, and our work and commitment towards implementing the EL roadmap policy. We also, on our next slide, we'll see that in the fall of last year, we also held our statewide teacher and leadership summits, where we went deeper in our work of our grant framework of liberatory design and introduced our exploratory or year 1 innovations. Our MCAP advisors, Dr. Patricia Gandara and Dr. Kathy Escamilla, provided powerful message of continuing our work for reaching a multilingual California, of building on the assets of our students, and also of attending to the social emotional needs of our students and our families. And on our next slide, during this past fall, our Parent Summit was launched, and our facilitators focus on building parent leadership. Our guest speaker was Lourdes Castro Ramirez, from California Secretary of Business and Housing, and she provided a powerful message about the importance of learning, leaning on the strengths of our families, of our heritage, of our language in our communities, and building on our funds of knowledge. And as 2 weeks ago, I shared just a moment ago in our partnership with SDSU under the leadership of Dr. Margarita Machado Casas and Dr. Alberto Esquinca, we held our first IHE convening and collaborative with a focus on supporting universities across the state and strengthening their bilingual teacher prep program. Our next IHE convening meeting will be next week on Thursday, and we will continue the conversation and just uncovering ways to partner with county offices, LEAs, to support our vision for expanding biliteracy programs. In this picture, we have partners that came in to support. We had CAPTE, we had SDSU, Cal State Long Beach, UCSD, UCR, UC Santa Barbara, CSU Chico, and CSU LA. So we will continue to keep you abreast of how our progress is going in that program, and just share some of the highlights on what we're doing with our IHEs and building those connections with our PK-12 system. We know the important role that every educator at all levels plays in supporting our multilingual learners. And through this grant, we have also recognized that our paraeducators are right there at the forefront, supporting our teachers in the classroom, supporting our schools, and building these strong relationships with our students. They're serving as instructional aides, but they're also those coaches, those mentors that motivate and encourage our students. We are continuing to provide. Last year, we were able to reach close to 360 paraeducators through the webinars and professional learning opportunities. And just yesterday, we were very inspired by our 50 paraeducators that attended our first session of these webinars. And we'll be able to share a little bit more on how you can spread the message to paraeducators in your county offices to come in and join these free professional learning opportunities. So we want to thank our colleagues in San Bernardino, in San Diego, and also in Butte for facilitating a very wonderful session with our paraeducators yesterday. And now I'd like to invite Jan to share a little bit about the CDE statewide literacy and biliteracy campaign.
Thanks so much, Alma. Just to share that as we are in this network together, we were so proud to represent CABE and our collaborative here on a press conference yesterday that our state superintendent held, announcing a statewide literacy and biliteracy campaign. And so our state superintendent has a goal that as we work to support our students by third grade, they'll be reaching proficiency in reading. And he's been incredibly open and receptive to continue to embrace our biliteracy and multilingual programs and work in our planning of how that will, what that will look like for our students in biliteracy dual language immersion programs as well. So if you know how to read and write in Spanish or Vietnamese or Korean or Chinese, you are literate, and you will then transfer those skills, of course, into English as the program progresses as well. So CABE is proud to be a part of the task force, the state task force that will be working on this and really focusing on those 5 themes of literacy development. You know, oftentimes people kind of hone in on the foundational skills. We know we need foundational skills, our phonetic awareness, all those different aspects, but also integrated from our ELA, ELD framework, you know, from the California Department of Ed that really guides our instruction for language arts. They call out 5 themes of meaning making, facilitating students' language development, modeling and teaching effective expression, expanding students' knowledge, content knowledge, and then of course, acquiring foundational skills. That's the whole picture of literacy and biliteracy. We look forward to exploring that. And since we'll be participating in the task force, we'll be reaching out to you for ideas, to give us input as well, and to keep you abreast of what's happening at that level. But it's so important that we hear from you as well, because it's that on the ground work that really makes a difference. So we are incredibly proud to be part of that and the support of our California Department of Ed in developing a statewide literacy and biliteracy campaign. Thanks so much. More to come.
Thank you, Jan, and what an exciting time. And through this project, you will be receiving additional information and opportunities for participating in this statewide work. So we want to share with you that as you enter this year 2 in the partnership with MCAP, you're entering a robust network that has already done some great work, impactful work, as you have seen and as you have been a part of. And through year 1, we have reached over close to 14,000 participants. And I do want to just make mention that this slide, you know, the font may be small, but you do have access to this slide in your participant folder that gives you just some background and some data as of January 2021. We look forward to continuing to work with our colleagues at Wexford and developing our data so that we can continue to share some updates of the impact that we're doing across the state, not only with our teachers, with our parents, paraeducators, with our students, our leaders, and our families in our 5 county offices of education. And so that's a great segue and an opportunity not only to highlight where we have been through this grant and the impactful work you have all been doing in your regions, in your counties, but now we're moving into our year 2. And this work, as we know, is on the move. And we're on the move and we're going deeper with you as we reflect on our systems and our specific needs to move that needle and to move into stage 2+ through our MCAP offerings. So as you'll see for year 2, in this partnership with MCAP, we will continue to offer free statewide access to professional learning and resources. And you are here today, you are at our statewide summit. You'll hear a little bit more about our innovations, but through stage 1, we continue to hold our statewide webinars for, as you heard, our paraeducator one that was launched yesterday, and we'll continue to have statewide webinars for our educators. We'll also be holding some statewide networks for teachers and administrators. And also through stage 1, we'll have our statewide and free digital academies that will be offered in an asynchronous format. The core of year 2 will be for you to access the full innovations that will be presented in just a few moments, where you will have an opportunity to develop your expertise in that area where you and your teams determine is the area that will take your school, your district to the next level in supporting multilingual learners. So we know that the English Learner Roadmap policy was approved in 2017. We know that this visionary policy highlights the California vision of success for our multilingual learner, which embraces linguistic diversity as an asset while providing the supports necessary to allow our English learners the meaningful access to that intellectual and rich, engaging curriculum. So in your folders, you will also have access to our MCAP palm card with the highlights of our vision, of our mission, of our California English Learner Roadmap policy. And on the next slide, you will have an opportunity to reflect on principle 1 and 2 of the EL Roadmap policy. Again, if you access your folder, you'll have an access to, I know some zooming and our tired eyes and some of this font may be small, but you'll have access to a larger piece there. So now I'd like to welcome Anya and Erika, who will walk us through this breakout session. We'd like to invite you to take a pause and reflect on your work in this past year during distance learning, during a virtual environment, and also as we have now returned in many of our districts, or in most of ours, we have returned to in-person teaching. We want you to take a quick pause and reflect on what resonates with you in your work and the context from this past year, and also from your current context. So Anya and Erika.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. So just to reiterate what Alma mentioned, we really just want to take some time right now to really collaborate with one another and reflect on how our work during this past year through distance learning, hybrid, possibly now into in-person, how it really resonates and aligns with our principle 1 and principle 2 principles from the EL Roadmap policy. So I'll go ahead and read principle 1 just to remind ourselves of what that principle states. And it really just states preschools and schools are responsive to different English learner strengths, needs, and identities, and support the social-emotional health and development of English learners. Programs value and build upon the cultural and linguistic assets students bring to their education in safe and affirming school climates. Educators value and build strong family, community, and school partnerships. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Erika Garcia, who'll read principle 2 for us.
Thank you, Anya. Principle 2, English learners engage in intellectually rich developmentally appropriate learning experiences that foster high levels of English proficiency. These experiences integrate language development, literacy, and content learning, as well as provide access for comprehension and participation through native language instruction and scaffolding. English learners have meaningful access to a full standards-based and relevant curriculum and the opportunity to develop proficiency in English and other languages. We are now going to move into breakout rooms for about 5 minutes to discuss the question, what resonates with your work and context from this past year? Please note that you will have the option to join a breakout room, and the breakout rooms have been labeled by county. So please join your county in the breakout room. And then we will come back and share in the chat your key takeaways from the conversations you had. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika and Anya. And right before we go into our breakout groups, just a kind reminder again, you can access Principle 1 and 2 in your folders. We will have a breakout session for approximately 6 minutes, and we will also give you a warning as we're coming back to a full team. As you come back, we will invite you to share with us through our chat box some of your conversations, what resonated with you through Principle 1 and 2. So we'll be moving into groups for approximately 6 minutes. Feel free to access your breakout groups tab at the bottom right side. You'll see an icon that says breakout rooms, and then you'll be able to join your group.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but Anya, are you opening the rooms? Okay, because I was attempting to, and it's, okay, now it's working.
Okay.
My apologies. I'm sorry, and we're doing this for 5 minutes, is that correct?
Yeah, I think
we're going to do 6 minutes, Alexandra, please. We'll be going into our breakout groups for 6 minutes. And I think we'll be sending, we'll have an option where you can select your county, and we will be here to assist if you need to be directed to your breakout group in your county. And I do see that our colleagues are starting to enter their breakout groups from their given counties. Again, you can access on the bottom of your Zoom, you'll see an icon that says breakout rooms. If you can open it, and then you'll have access to entering your county. It may take about a minute or so. And so we'll be here to support if we need to direct anyone to any of the groups.
This is Angela Franco. I'm in San Diego County. I don't see an icon for breakout rooms.
I've gone ahead and assigned you your room. So
all right, thank you.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Hi, this is Lucy Gutierrez. I'm trying to go into Orange Center's breakout room and I can't.
Is what county is that?
Fresno County.
Fresno County. Okay.
I went ahead and sent you there.
Okay,
thank you.
Oh, there it goes.
Perfect. And if you need support, just wait until we call your name and then we can go ahead and put you into a breakout room. Elva?
Or feel free to place it in the chat, and I'll try to go ahead and send you there before it's your turn.
iPhone. I see an iPhone here. If you need support, I can go ahead and send you.
I'm sorry, I'm driving, so I can't access. So
no worries. I can go ahead and send you. What county are you in?
No, I'm sorry. I'm driving, so I can't access my folder right now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna wait, but as soon as I get home, I'll access everything.
Okay, no problem. Miriam? Okay, Alejandra de la Torre? Sandra? Heidi?
San Bernardino County, please.
Perfect.
Thank
Same
you.
here.
Let's see. Amy McDonald.
Hello.
Hi, what county are you in?
I'm sorry?
What county are you in? And I can assign
We're
you
in San Bernardino County. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. So
Sorry,
Amy,
there's a couple of us in the same room, so you might.
Okay, no problem. Josefino. Okay, Amy. Then I see, I'll try again with Sandra. Miriam. Or Sonia.
MCAP team, I think at this point we have about 3 minutes. Let's go ahead and just quickly assign our colleagues that are here on our main rooms so that they can enter any of our rooms.
I'm sorry, there's a problem. We keep getting moved out of our rooms into other breakout rooms. I don't know if there's some kind of setting to balance it out or something, but we've gotten moved around from San Diego into 2 different breakout rooms, and we keep going back in, but then we keep getting moved back out. I'm not sure what's causing that.
Thank you, Olivia.
Yeah, that might be a Zoom feature because it typically doesn't do that.
I wonder if they set a cap.
You know, if we're having issues, we might want to bring the group back and just have them do some thinking and add it to the chat even. It might be the Wednesday afternoon technology challenge.
I think we have most of our participants in our breakout groups, but I do see in our main screen we have about 10 participants here, but I don't know. I'm looking at the groups and it looks like they're.
Oh yeah, I see how you're, let me see. I think I can move you, Olympia.
We can move ourselves when we go to the breakout room. We can join back. And I did that. I'm from San Diego, and then it moved me to Butte. And I went back to San Diego and it moved me back to Butte. I just figured I better just come here so I'm not disrupting.
Kim, it might be a sign. Maybe there's a new career for you in Butte County.
Maybe. I don't even know where it is. Someone needs to tell me.
It's up north.
Yeah. We have about a minute remaining in breakout groups, and then we'll be coming back to the main group. But Kim, thanks for joining us here in the main room.
Sure, I'll listen into what you all were talking about.
For those, there's a few of us here. Does anybody want to share how that resonated? Kim or Sandra, Angela, folks that are joining us, Miriam, Josefino, anything resonated with you with the roadmap?
I'll share for a minute. I mean, I know we only have, I'm in Vista, you can see, and I'm a ELD coach, but last year I was in the classroom. I decided to jump back in, not knowing we'd be virtual all year. And I feel really, honored that I could actually do that and be in the trenches and be with our English learners. But also one thing that resonated as we've been looking at the roadmap, the principles, but that safe and affirming and that, acknowledging their, assets, but the safe and affirming, especially right now, as our kids are coming back to school. And I mean, there's so many different layers of that, right? I mean, it's linguistically safe and culturally safe, but then that physical, safe. So that's resonated with me. And how do we do that? So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you. And as I see most of us are coming back into the room. I invite you to just go ahead in the chat and really share out anything that maybe really stood out to you, anything that you'd like to share out to the whole group that your group discussed. And then Erika and myself will just read a couple of them before we continue on to our next section. Thank you. And thank you. I see some of you already sharing, discussing and encouraging parent engagement through various formats. The work of our LEAs, yes. scaffolding and EL support should be more in all content areas, not just in ELD classes. The focus on oracy. And then getting teachers excited for the work and even adding more teachers this year. Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. And we invite you throughout the rest of the session to continue sharing out anything that really resonated that you and your group discussed throughout your breakout groups. And I'll go ahead and hand it over again to our director, Dr. Alma Castro.
Thank you, Anya, and thank you, Erika, for guiding our group. We know there's never enough time in our breakout groups for discussion, but we wanted you to have an opportunity to go into a smaller session and really just go a little bit deeper into revisiting Principle 1, assets-based, and Principle 2, quality of instruction. And those were really good reflections. I'm reviewing some of these through the chat. And as we move into our this is a good segment into our next part for today, we're going to move into exploring our innovations through our EO roadmap policy, again, through our Principle 1 and 2. This year, you'll have an opportunity, your educators, teachers and para-educators will have an opportunity to participate in full innovations that you see listed on this slide aligned through each of the Principles 1 or Principle 2. And on our next section, you'll see we're going to invite our innovation facilitators and our MCAP leads to just share briefly about each of our innovations. There's not a whole lot of time, but just share briefly. This slide is a little more for reference because as you can see, the dates are very small, but you do have access to this presentation. And it's just a reference document for you to have of the titles of the innovations, the counties that are presenting these innovations and the dates. But of course, we have designed, our MCAP team has designed a very interactive webpage and specifically honing in on highlighting the innovation offerings for year 2. And so we are going to drop the link in the chat at this moment. That'll take you directly to this webpage. We are very thankful to our friends at CABE ITCD team who just really did this magic of creating this interactive webpage that highlights through each of the tiles that you'll see the innovation. We do want to say that registration for the innovations that you can begin to share out with all of your teachers that are part of this project and para-educators. Registration will start on October 1. These will be synchronous sessions. You will go much deeper. In year 1, you had that opportunity for exploring perhaps one of the innovations. And now you will be able to focus on an area and go deeper to attain and earn a badge of completion, validating your expertise in that area. And so we'd like now to also encourage you to meet in your teams and discuss your innovation interests, your innovation commitments. We also want to remind you that you have an option. You can definitely select another innovation. Last year was an exploratory opportunity, and you don't necessarily have to go into that same innovation. You may want to explore after you have deeper conversations with your teams at your school sites, with your leaders and with our MCAP leads about which one innovation you will be registering to. Again, we invite our teachers, our administrators, and our para-educators to register as of October 1. So now what we'll do is we are going to be sharing this interactive webpage, and we've added the link to the chat. So you can also follow along. But we'd now like to welcome our colleague, Holly from Butte, who will present again a very brief overview of the innovation that is being facilitated from Butte in partnership with MCAP.
Thank you, Dr. Castro. So calling all para-educators all across California. Our BCOE innovation is our bilingual teacher pathway. It's a partnership with San Diego State University, and it's an opportunity for any paraprofessional across the state who wishes to become a bilingual teacher to remain in their job as a paraprofessional and complete their credential coursework online. Our program offers financial support as well as support to participants on exam completion like the CBES and the CSET. And it's an opportunity to get started on your prerequisites for your credential program. When you take part in our innovation, you will be able to work with our folks to help customize your own individual pathway, and you will soon become a bilingual teacher in California. So join us, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell all the paraprofessionals out there that want to be a bilingual teacher to contact us, go to our innovation page, sign up, bring your friends. We're happy to have you. So that is us.
Thank you, Holly. Again, calling all paraeducators. We do, through this grant, we are offering supports, professional learning for teachers, and also to help elevate the skill set and engage with our paraeducators. So now I'd like to welcome Anya, who's going to talk to us about the innovation of the Dual Language Teacher Academy.
Hi, everybody, once again. So we are really excited to be able to offer the Spanish Dual Language Teacher Academy once again this year. This year, however, we really get to explore and go deeper, and it's not only the first 2 modules, so we really will include all 8 modules, really honing in and focusing on preparing dual language teachers, colleagues, anybody really working with students in dual language classrooms to higher levels of academic Spanish, and really working on those pedagogical practices to teach in and support a Spanish dual language program. We really align all of our modules to the guiding principles for dual language education and the California English Learner Roadmap policy. And so we do, for those of you that did not take the Dual Language Teacher Academy last year, we are offering our modules 1 and 2 once again, but we will offer all 8 modules once a month approximately, and they will be taking place on Saturday. They're really impactful. We offer 6 modules in Spanish, 2 in English, and it's really a great way for us to learn more about just how do we teach in Spanish? How do we really practice our academic Spanish ourselves as educators? So I really invite you all to explore our webpage, which really just adds more information, videos, and any questions, please direct them to either myself or Erika Garcia, who will be the lead presenters in this. And I'll go ahead and pass it again to Alma.
Thank you, Anya. I'd like to now introduce Nicole and her team, who will talk to us about the innovation at Project GLAD.
All right, everyone, Gladvocates here, Gladvocates there, Gladvocates everywhere. Folks, we are so excited to be having Project GLAD back into year 2, supporting with Artful Innovation. And as we navigate the nuances of this year, we're going ahead and providing some really unique experiences within Project GLAD's Full Innovation series. Our first module is going to reorient new and returning participants into an overview of what the GLAD model is, how it supports universal access, while also providing those targeted language supports that we know are needed within our classroom settings. And in addition, within module 2, you're going to start seeing some really refined connections with how we design lessons within our classrooms to support in really making the EL roadmap applicable within our classroom settings, how we continue to build multiliteracy, as well as connect with current research. But as I mentioned, a unique experience right here for MCAP participants is a virtual demonstration. So those of you that might be familiar with our GLAD model's design, the classroom demonstration is where our applications really come to life. So we're excited to offer through modules 3 through 10, a virtual simulated classroom demonstration where participants will be able to see this work in action with students. Come join us, become our GLAD advocates as we continue into year 2, working intentionally with our learners. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, OCDE and Nicole. And now I'd like to welcome Lisa and her team, who will be providing an innovation on instructional strategies for PK teachers of dual language learners.
Hello, everyone. Last year, we focused our Lighthouse for Children, which is our early childhood center run by FCSS in partnership with First Five. It is a demonstration site where we ask professionals to come and observe and talk with our team there. Last year, COVID kind of preempted that. We weren't able to do that, but we're hoping to open that up again so that you can come perhaps and check us out even in person. But as far as online, we will be diving into some instructional strategies for our dual language learners to really help develop that oral language. In Fresno County, our dual language preschool class is a 50-50 model. So we support the home language as well as learning Spanish. And so you'll learn some really fun strategies of developing oral language through music and also through dance, and see how that helps students develop their own oral language. So with that, you'll also get some fun props and supplies so that you can participate and engage with us in these lessons. We'll be showing actual classroom demonstrations via video of some of the lessons that we've done with students. Primarily, we have on our page that this is for preschool teachers, especially dual language preschool teachers. But if you're a TK teacher or a kinder teacher or even first grade, there might be some really great strategies for you to implement in your classrooms too, as we look at developing language. So we will have 6 synchronous sessions, and then we'll have a couple of asynchronous sessions that you can do on your own time. But we think this is going to be a lot of fun, and we invite you to join us.
Thank you, Lisa. Great innovation. I'd like to welcome Angelica and her team, who will present on special education in bilingual settings.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Castro. We are so excited to offer this session. We're offering 7 sessions, and we're excited about continuing our work in multilingual students in special education. We're going to go deeper in this work. Last year, our last sessions, we offered a lot of the content was really starting you off, and we covered the laws, the moral imperative, the ELD standards, and linguistically appropriate goals. This time we're going deeper in all of that, and we're going to offer 7 sessions. The first 2 are going to delve deeper into dyslexia and understanding the reading brain, and then also on screening and assessments and interventions. And then in session 3, we're going to continue delving deeper into the ELD standards through a special education lens. Session 4 and session 5, we're going to go deeper in learning and practicing writing linguistically appropriate goals in our IEPs for our dually identified students. And then session 6 and 7, we're going to delve deeper also in the reclassification and monitoring process for dually identified students, because that was a hot topic last time, and we're going to go deeper and give you more information and ways of doing that according to the law and the rights of our students. So we look forward to meeting you and continuing this work for those of you that joined us last time, and we will welcome you. So thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. And now I'd like to welcome Isela, who'll talk to us about their innovation on Write.
Thank you, Dr. Castro. So colleagues, as the COE is super proud to bring to you the Writing Redesign for Innovative Teaching and Equity, AKA Write. This is an equity-centered approach to integrated K-12 literacy instruction. So through this professional learning series, you will have an opportunity to expand on your understanding of the culturally and linguistically responsive instructional practices that need to take place and root in our classrooms, with a strong emphasis on integrated literacy application. We have created for you what we consider a very healthy balance of synchronous and asynchronous professional learning opportunities. Our participants will have an opportunity to deepen their understanding and application of integrated literacy approach as they're building their capacity to support not only the students in their classroom, but also their colleagues at the site and at the district level through shared projects and engaging dialogue. Our modules are very well aligned to the EL roadmap, as well as the guiding principles for dual language education, right en inglés y en español. Con eso, colegas, es un placer poder ofrecerles a ustedes oportunidades específicamente para nuestros educadores bilingües. Nuestra capacitación une las mejores prácticas respaldadas por las investigaciones con la equidad en la instrucción que nuestros alumnos y nuestras familias tanto merecen, que ustedes merecen, colegas, capacitación en español, que no tienen que ir a adaptar. So looking forward to our work together and let's all keep this in mind. Juntos sí podemos, así que vámonos, todos juntos. Thank you, Dr. Castro.
Thank you, Isela. And now I'd like to welcome our colleagues, Bobby from University of San Diego, and they'll be presenting to us an innovation. They'll continue their innovation on language development through science. Welcome, Bobby.
Well, hello, everybody. Hold on just a second. I am on Amtrak, so you just heard an Amtrak announcement. Welcome, everybody. And as Dr. Cummins shared with us, all English learners deserve engaged learning experiences. And what could be more engaging to children than science? So our innovation combines the next generation science standards with English language learning and also Principle 2, where it states English learners engage in intellectually rich experiences that foster high levels of English proficiency and integrate with content. Very, very proud and happy to partner with the renowned Fleet Science Institute in Bilbao in San Diego and present 4 modules that are synchronous along with some modules that are asynchronous for the learners this year to look at science and to do science, to see the rich language experiences that emerge from that. Hope to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. And thank you all of our MCAP leads and our facilitators to all of our innovations. I'm really excited. I hope that you too are feeling very excited about the continuing conversations that we invite you to have with your MCAP teams, your MCAP leads, and at your sites. Again, just a reminder, registration will open on October 1st. Visit this website. It's interactive. It's very easy to follow. Once you're ready to register, please remember to use your district email as you register for that one innovation that you've identified. Another reminder, you do not have to take that innovation that you explored on year 1. As a team, you can decide which innovation you'd like to explore and go deeper in. And a reminder that you will be earning a completion badge for that innovation. We do encourage you to meet in teams and discuss your next steps together before you register on October 1st. And so now I'd like to just share very briefly. I know we're running just a little behind schedule, but you do have these slides as reference for you. And this strong partnership with MCAP, just summing up this partnership, again, we will continue to work together in this 2-year systemic work to implement the EL roadmap policy. We will continue to participate as MCAP teams, MCAP district leaders, county leaders, statewide network for supporting our multilingual learners. We'll continue to invite you to recruit and identify your teachers and your paraeducators or administrators, support staff that is going to be participating in these full innovations, registration as of October 1st, and also participate with teachers and leaders in a virtual statewide summit. We also want to remind you that the Innovation for Families, I'll be sharing a flyer in just a moment, but that is also part of one of the agreements. We'll continue to engage in the evaluation process in completing registration sign-in sheets. which I'll throw a plug in there. If you have not completed your sign-in sheet for today, we do, this is an EWIC grant, and we are asking that you complete your sign-in sheet, which is part of our evaluation process. So we'll throw the link again on the chat box, and you'll have access to the statewide network of colleagues that are here today on Zoom, of all of our MCAP advisors who you've met, and have access to additional professional learning and free resources that will help you with the coaching and the various opportunities. Now, you may be wondering, what are my next steps? There's so much information, and I know we're running just a bit behind schedule, but just some really succinct next steps. You will enter this year into an MOU agreement with your county office. And so you'll have a continued follow-up conversation as you enter into that MOU for participation this year. You will engage into the year 2 innovation. Full innovation, you'll explore and promote. After today, go to our website, explore, promote, and please come together as a school community to determine which of those innovations may be that best fit as you're addressing those systems needs. You will receive funding for professional learning and for your participation in year 2 activities for your teachers and para-educators. So please follow up with your MCAP lead to ensure you are supported in completing all of the necessary agreements. And so with that, I'd like to now introduce our colleague and friend, Dr. Olympia Kyriakidis, who's going to guide us into the next phase for today of Liberatory Design Framework, which is grounded on addressing equity challenges and change efforts in our systems by transforming power and increasing agency to those closest to the design work. Welcome, Olympia.
Thank you, Alma. And if we could advance the slide, please. It's a great transition to move from the wonderful innovations that were presented by the team into the Liberatory Design Framework, because the Liberatory Design Framework is really a tool to help us implement these wonderful innovations and the EL roadmap through that strong equity lens, and to address the complex equity challenges that have been in our system and we are striving to overcome. It's a process and a practice, and it comes from the National Equity Project and the Design School at Stanford. And it helps us to create designs that help liberate and increase opportunity for those most impacted by oppression, transform power by shifting the relationships between those who hold the power to design and those impacted by the designs, and generate liberatory learning and increased agency for those involved in the design work. Next slide, please. So we know historically what our system is built on and who has held the power. And we can see here in this slide, if you could read it to yourselves for a second, what our educational system has been built upon. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And then the next slide. Just a few highlights of our past that have really shown some of the challenges, equity challenges in our system. Next slide, please. Since we know that disturbance is required for change, and there is no doubt that disturbance is happening as we speak, the question is, are we willing to use this opportunity to create the kind of system we want? We have learned that if we are going to change a system, we as individuals first have to see what the system is producing, then we have to engage with others to design something different, and finally we have to act. And that's one of my favorite quotes from Hugh Vasquez at the National Equity Project. Slide, please. And this is what happens when we listen and we take a human-centered approach and we redesign. We move from what we just saw historically to a shift in California's educational landscape into the wonderful things that have emerged, starting with things like the Seal of Biliteracy and Prop 58 and the EL Roadmap and Global California 2030, and of course, our E-Way grants, EL Rise, and a hands up to Multilingual California and the work that everyone is doing in this summit and through this wonderful project. This is what possibilities happen when we think about designing and we think about a human-centered approach in designing and really putting the needs of our students and our families first, especially those that have been historically underserved in our systems. Next slide. And so here again, in this project, we're intersecting the framework of the California English Learner Roadmap with the liberatory design process, which is linked here for you, to help us implement the roadmap in our systems with that strong equity lens and that human-centered continuous improvement approach. And again, it is both a process and a series of mindsets that can help us to do this work. Next slide. And liberatory design mindsets are key here to really, and it's really important that we start to think about this mindsets as a way to achieve equity as both a goal and a process. And that addressing equity and inequity requires new mindsets and intentions, and that hopefully we can start to internalize these mindsets and really start to shift the way we think about our work and as we design. Next, please. And so these are some of the mindsets here that are presented in the framework, and it is our MCAP framing, and they are linked here for you in the center of the slide. And I wanted to highlight a few of them today that have resonated with me. If we can go to the next slide. Taking action to learn. And if you could take a moment to read about the complexity of oppression that must be addressed with our courageous ongoing action, experiment as a way to think and learn and without attachment to outcomes. So really taking about those risks and learning and putting ourselves out there. And of course, focusing on human values, understanding the perspective and having empathy for our students and our community. That human-centered approach is at the heart of doing this important liberatory design work and at the heart of helping to transform our systems and really disrupt the status quo and what has been happening in the past. And in order to do so, we really have to embrace complexity. We have to understand that this is not simple work and that this framework and the roadmap and implementing the roadmap and implementing these wonderful innovations is complex, and that we have to work through that by really, again, staying human-centered, remembering to have empathy for those stakeholders within the system, listening to what is going well and learning from that, but also listening to what is not working and how might it work better and how might we work together to move forward and overcome the challenges. It's wonderful, wonderful, important work. So next slide, please. And of course, the mindset that is at the heart of the notice and reflect phase of the liberatory design process, which is at the center of the work, is practicing self-awareness and practicing self-awareness, owning our identity, our values, our emotions, understanding our biases, the power that we hold within our system and the assumptions that we have, and collectively building situational awareness, understanding the context of our system, the people that we serve, the people in the system, the power and where the power is held, the history within our educational system and our own LEAs and schools, and our current state, that self-awareness is key to our design work and is at the heart of the work that we do. And that reflecting also helps designers and leaders pause midstream to reflect on actions, impact, emotions, relationship, to continue to seek to understand, to build empathy throughout our design process and to revisit how are these things that we're trying on working? How are they impacting our students and families? What are we giving them voice? Are we listening? And then adjusting our intentions as needed, our presence, our direction, our work to meet the needs and to continue to strive to improve. And the liberatory design mindset supports these processes very much. And again, is something that as we continue to notice and reflect and build that into our work in this grant and in the work that we do every day, that we start to internalize this way of thinking and this way of approaching our work and to start to really design against the status quo. Next slide. And without reflection, we go blindly on our way, creating more unintended consequences and failing to achieve anything useful. So taking that, again, that time to reflect and to pause and to think about what we're doing and how we can continue to learn from each other and try things on and grow together. Next slide, please. And this is the actual process. So you can see again in the center of the flower, they've redesigned it. So the National Equity Project and the design school continue to improve and iterate on their own process of liberatory design and to grow it and to listen to our feedback. And they've made this beautiful process into a flower, which I think speaks beautifully to how this can help grow our systems in a more equitable ways. And in the middle of the flower, again, is that notice and reflect phase. It's at the heart and at the center of the process. And that as we seek to understand our systems better, to understand how we're serving our students and their families, we start with that C stage, which includes empathize and define. And then we start to really engage with our learning and start to put things into place by inquiring and imagining, and then prototyping and trying, and always at the center, noticing and reflecting. So as we implement the roadmap, as we implement these innovations, as we learn from each other, as we network together and as we grow, that we continue to use this process and framework as a tool really to help us do so with that strong lens on equity. Next slide. And so for stage 2, we're really going to focus again on the framework and the human-centered approach to implementing the EL roadmap and the innovations. And we're going to really focus our efforts in the heart of the process, that notice and reflect phase and the mindsets. And this will be integrated with the innovation professional learning and with the network meetings that we'll hold. And then of course, we're here to help you, I'm always, myself, my team, the whole MCAP team, we're here to support you as you learn about this framework and start to use it and implement it in your systems. Next slide, please. And then again, this leads us to essential action, that at the heart of the process is empathy. Leaders need to learn more and partner with those most impacted by the challenge, our students and our families. Taking action to learn at different levels of your system. Take multiple small actions that will not do harm if you fail, and learn what directions are most promising in your system. So as you learn about the roadmap and the innovations, trying it on, taking action to learn, put it into practice, and continue to grow your systems and improve them for our language learners. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Alma.
Thank you, Olympia. Thank you for partnering with us and helping us deepen our understanding on our liberatory design framework and those mindsets that will be embedded, as Olympia shared, to the design of the innovations with a focus on addressing those equity challenges by noticing and reflecting in our systems, increasing that educator agency and having a human-centered approach. So we look forward to continuing this work and deepening our understanding and knowledge to support all educators on liberatory design. And as we move into our almost closing for today, I do want to share that part of our work that we continue to do is provide through stage 1 professional learning opportunities. So you'll see that professional learning opportunities in the next coming slides will be open to you at your school sites, at the county level. You'll be able to share this widely. We do have on the flyer that you see highlighted here, our next parent workshop for all of our MCAP schools will be September 30th. So you do have access to the flyer in your participant materials for today. We invite you as educators to reach out to one family member, 2 family members, to your parents that are part of ELAC or SSC, School Site Council. We want to engage our families in building their leadership, and we welcome them again on September 30th. We also, as part of this network, you'll continue to have access to professional learning at all levels. For our para-educators, we held our first session yesterday. Our second session will be on October 5th. These are free, open statewide, and basically we heard from our educators and from our para-educators the need for building their capacity in supporting multilingual learners in the classroom and those students who are also dually identified. So session number 2 is going to be meeting the needs of dually identified students. You have the flyer as part of this slide deck, and also in your participant folder, you can promote and help paraeducators register for this free webinar, and we're moving into a meeting style. On the next one, our academies will be offered through stage 1 statewide. And these will be very similar to that exploratory opportunity that you had through the innovations. Our academies will be launching in October. The first 3 that will be launched will be WRITE, DLTA, and the Bilingual Teacher Pathway. And as we progress through this year, you'll be receiving additional information about other academies that you can promote. These are, again, you can have additional teachers register for these asynchronous academies. And again, it's very similar to the work that you've already engaged in this past year as exploring our innovations. As part of the MCAP partnership, you'll also receive a number of complimentary registrations to our CABE 2022. So please work with your MCAP lead to express interest. We invite you to attend during CABE 2022 in San Francisco, as we're enjoying some delicious clam chowder. We invite you to join us at our MCAP sessions for networking events. And as you recall, Dr. Jim Cummins will be also participating in our CABE 2022, and many other educators, scholars, and passionate advocates for multilingual education. So again, please share and communicate with your MCAP leads to express your interest. And I'd also like to invite you to visit our multilingualcalifornia.org webpage. We are often updating. We invite you to subscribe so that you could be a part of this network and receive additional information of free webinars, resources, and materials to support your vision for a multilingual California. Again, if you have not visited our webpage, you have the link on the chat. If you have any questions for us, you can email us at mcapalliance@gocabe, and you can also email me, alma@gocabe.org. If you are active or not active on social media, please follow us, Facebook, Multilingual California Alliance Project. And by the way, if you follow us, if you find us, you will see some of your amazing faces and smiles because we will be sharing the photos from today's presentation. And as we bring this exciting day to a close, we know it has been, a longer afternoon after your work day, but a lot of great information through this MCAP project. We invite you to please share an última palabra, or a last thought of this session that we've had together. Please go ahead and go into our chat and please share an última palabra. And as you're doing that, and as our última palabras are coming in, I hope that today you are leaving inspired and feeling supported to impact your system, to interrupt inequities, and to expand learning opportunities for multilingual learners across the state. We thank you, leaders, for the heavy lifting you have been doing as we transition into the distance learning and back now to in-person. We thank you, teachers, for addressing the academic and the social emotional needs of our students, for connecting with our families, for all of the work that you're doing to support our students to thrive, and for your commitment of building a stronger multilingual California. We want to thank you for celebrating the cultural and linguistic assets of a diverse student and communities. And we also thank you for the celebrations of our Latino and Latinx Heritage Month. So with that, I want to say thank you and gracias. And please come into our chat and share an última palabra. And I'd like to invite Jan to close us out for this evening. Again, on behalf of Multilingual California Alliance, we thank our MCAP leads. We thank our superintendents, our directors, our school site leaders, our teachers, our paraeducators, our school communities, and our familias for being a part of this strong and passionate MCAP grant. We've today launched year 2 and very excited to have you today. And now I'll hand it over to Jan. Thank you.
Gosh, thank you so much, Alma. Thank you, everybody. I just feel so inspired. Olympia, I just want to thank you. Every time we dig deeper into liberatory design, I feel that movement, I feel that energy, I feel that possibility. So thank you so much for that. You know, it's 5:02 and look at our última palabras. We have exciting, inspired, inspirada, gracias, opportunities, embracing and supportive, dedicated, hopeful, ready, excited, viva MCAP, buenas tardes y gracias, empowered, compromiso, understanding what equity looks like for all students. Thanks for including us. Gracias, scaffolding is essential. I'm not alone, supportive, gracias. You know, that's what this is all about. Just thank you. You know, it has been a full day for all of us, I know, but thank you for giving this time, this dedication. Gracias por ser parte de esta comunidad. Thank you for being a part of this community, knowing that we are all here. I hope you took a look around who's here. Make sure you find ways to connect. You can reach your county office person to say, hey, I want to talk to that person in Vista, or I want to talk to that person up in Butte County, and find ways to connect. That's what this is all about. We're going to get the empowerment by connecting and really working together. We are not alone. We're not isolated. We are multilingual, united, collaborative California. So thank you. Alma, Dr. Castro, thank you so much for your leadership, to the whole CABE team, to all of our partners, to each and every one of you that are here today. Thank you so much. And have a fun time looking at those innovations. You're going to love it. There's so many opportunities there. Just enjoy, consider what the opportunities are, and let's dig in together. Let's keep our sleeves rolled up, and we're going to have just an amazing year together. Thank you so much. Gracias a todos.
Thank you. Feel free to unmute and say a thank you. I can see thank you in multiple languages coming in through the chat. So feel free to unmute and share with us multiple languages of gracias.
Obrigada.
Danke.
Escarre casco.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, friends and colleagues. Have a great evening. Gracias.
Feel free to unmute yourselves and shout out if you want.
Bravo, MCAP.
Fabulous.
Congratulations, everyone. That was a feat. I just wanted to say thank you before jumping off. Alexandria, Anya, and Erica in particular,